measuring 6 inches, and it goes back to this V, which is about 17 inches. You can see the claw marks in. It's way bigger than our dog's. Let's put that over there. That's massive. Just wondering if he's stepped back, his rear's gone into his front track. Because I'll show you what I think's our dog. There. Right. Well, his track's about 3 inches wide. No V. 3x4, I'd say. They're big and all, aren't they? Yeah, they are quite big. I mean, it's difficult with quadrupeds, isn't it? Because they can step in their own tracks. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, and a possible 5 and 6 there. And if we look at this one, I think it come in via the Dutch barn on the other side of the house. So when I went up to that far bit and was stalked by it, but never saw it, I could definitely feel it. Like a mega 100 times. Really spooked out of that area. I think it picked up my scent, somehow tracked me back to the house at a sort of bit later, come in via somewhere around the Dutch barn, circled the house, and probably exited along this bit here we call the Slade. Sometimes it's, you know, when it's a bit of a river down there sometimes, it even gets over that gate down there, and it could follow the Slade back to the woods over there. But where I felt it was on the far side of the wood, where the 3 counties actually meet. Rightio, off you go. Yeah, look at the camera because that's what's filming you.
Right. Good evening. My name is Fred. I'm 88 years old and I live on a very isolated farm in Bedfordshire. I'm very lucky to have someone to look after me at night. And this particular evening, I'd gone to bed and I got up because I have to get up at my age several times in the night, and I was just standing there, and then I heard...
What, on this?
On my frame, yes, on my frame, and Steve was upstairs in bed, having his break.
What time was it? Roughly?
About 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock I think. Yeah, very early in the morning. Right. And then I was looking down and I heard scratch, scratch, scratch. Now I must remind you that we'd recently had an air conditioner put in and I had no curtain at the window because it was being fixed. So I heard scratch, scratch, and I looked up and I saw what looked like a paw. It was not a hand, but it was shaped differently to a paw, but it certainly wasn't a human hand. So I couldn't believe it, and I looked down to see what I was doing, and when I looked up again, I saw the most awful face looking at me through the window. Now, I was shocked, and I think this thing was shocked as well, because it didn't look as if it was expecting me to be there. It was a terrible experience. I can see it now. The most important thing about it was that its eyes never took its eyes off me at all. It looked straight into my eye, and I could see them there, dead dark ruby black centres with a pearl eye, like a ringed eye, around it, and they were more sort of together and not on the side. And the ears weren't terribly long, but they were tipped. The ears were tipped down.
You mean like a fold in the top?
Yes, like an Alsatian's ears. They were had a little fold on the top. And I just couldn't take my eyes off it for a while. But then I looked, and it was still there, and I decided its coat was sort of like an Irish wolfhound's coat. It wasn't the grey like that, but it was bitty, as if it wanted a good brush, to be truthful. And it was a darky browny colour. Well, it just looked awful. And to be truthful, it petrified me. It really, really, really did. And I shouted for Steve to come down, and he came down, and he was a very good lad. He went and looked. And
I could hear the panic in his voice, because he does sometimes shout me at night if he needs me, but this was a completely different voice. He sounded frightened, panicked.
I was frightened, and it made me feel terrible.
So basically, it never took its eyes off you.
No.
When it saw you saw it, it was like wide-eyed shock that you'd seen it.
Yes, it looked as frightened as I did, to be truthful, because I got the light on, you see, because I have to sleep with the light on, because when I get up in the night...
I think one thing you did say that was quite... made my eyes prick up was, you said the eyes were slightly higher than what
they would
be on the dog,
they were
more forward facing.
They were. I said earlier, didn't I, that I'm sorry, but I'm 88. They weren't on the side like I expected to be. They were more looking straight at me, but very piercing, and I could see them, and it was just all.
Let's just go through the description. So you said the ears, the eyes. What about the muzzle?
The muzzle wasn't. It was longer than a dog. It was like an Alsatian, but it wasn't. It was longer than that, and this bit of the lip sort of hung down a little bit here.
You said you could see the teeth.
Yes, you could see the teeth, but to be truthful, I said to Steve when I was joking a few weeks later, well, a little while later, he looked like the wolf from Red Riding Hood, but it was sort of...
What, you mean the film?
The film, where it said all the better to eat you with.
So, like the top, you told me originally the top lip was hanging down over.
That's right, it was here, but it had like a little thing here too.
Didn't see a tongue?
No.
What about the actual tip of the nose? Was that like a dog's nose?
Yes, and they tipped it at the top. But I think this thing just wanted to stop me looking at it by peering at me with its eyes all the time. But you couldn't help but take your eyes off it because it's such a striking thing. And I've never been so petrified in my life. I've been through some terrible things in the war and different things, but I've never been so frightened.
It's because Fred was 6 when the bombings were happening in London, because he lived in the East End. He grew up in the East End, so he saw a lot of horrors of World War II and dead bodies, etc, etc. Won't go into that, but how does that compare, seeing something like that?
Can I just tell them one thing to so they know how it compared.
Yeah.
I was about six, and my mother took me down to the shelter, and a bomb dropped, and it was the biggest bomb that they'd ever had, and it blew a hole in the middle of Brixton High Street that you could get 10 corporation buses, double-deckers, standing together. We came out the shelter in the morning, and there was paper bits in the air, smoke everywhere, and my mother says, "Come on, darling, we'll get you home." And when I looked down, there was a body on the floor, and the lady, and I knew the lady because she had a band on her arm which said "Postie," and it was our post lady, and she hadn't got a head.
Well.
So I've seen a few frightening things, but not as bad as this.
And
It really frightened me.
and so Deborah rang you.
You what?
Deborah rang you.
Oh yes. I spoke to Deborah, and I've got to thank her so much. She was so good with me, and she calmed me down, and the most important thing was, she said to me, "I can almost guarantee, mate, that 150% he'll never harm you." And you know, that really calmed me, but she was so good with me. I want to thank her so much.
I see you wearing your thingy,
Yeah.
your panic button. What? He's been good today because the nurse comes, so he's wearing it. He don't normally wear it, but you should have pressed that when you. I'd have loved that one. Cause she comes over the intercom, doesn't she?
Yeah, she just said,
Are you all right, Fred? And you just said, "No, there's a werewolf at the window." It'd be like that Sasquatch Chronicles intro where the bloke rings the police when he says.
Anyway, I want to thank you, Deborah. Thank you so much. You really put my mind at rest, darling, you did. I couldn't have spoken to anybody better.
Oh, one thing Deborah did mention was that there might be some sort of particular place around here that this is, or some reason. Was it Elsie Bloom? You said you worked in the leather factory.
Yes, Elsie and I worked together in the village.
And what did she say about where we're living? About the nuns? Because this used to be called Priory Homestead Cottages. It's called Mid Farm now.
This was Priory Homestead Cottages, and the homestead, the priory, was down in the village, and it was run by nuns, and it was a very, very quiet order. If they wanted to speak, they had to pull each other's cuffs so they could talk to each other. But we found out later that there was a tunnel all the way down to the village that the nuns used to walk underneath and go down to the church, so no one would see them at times, and then they come back the same way here. And the old people in the village used to say that the nuns used to have babies by the monks, and they used to bury the dead babies up here. Everyone said, "Oh no, they wouldn't do that," but I wouldn't put it past them.
You said that the lady said they would plough the field and bones would come up.
That's right, they did. When the first ladies lived here, that was, well, she was in my cottage before. They used to pay them to go out and pick up stones and things out the field on Saturdays and Sundays, so they could plough with a horse easier.
So that was like if you lived in a Thai cottage and you were a farm worker, they expected as part of your rent the children and wife to go out picking stones out of the field in the weekend.
That's right, and they didn't get anything for them, just bags of stones, and they always used to say that many a time a piece of bone or something like that came up while they were ploughing with the horse. So that it was a burial type of ground, and as you know, there's a place up there where they throw all the old stones and things in.
Yeah, in the slade.
Well, they reckon there's a lot of people buried in that slade.
Really?
No wonder the mushrooms go
and that's
well
the
there.
history you know about. I discovered there was a young girl who got done for witchcraft. She stabbed a cat 9 times, that's the story.
Yes.
That took a lot of digging to find that one out, because that was particularly in this village.
And you know the trapdoors in the Priory Farm down the bottom here where the nuns used to come out
Yeah.
to the tunnel? There's a trapdoor there. They used to come out of there and then go down to Hawkers, to the hall and the church.
Yeah.
And they all went in the dark and came back in the dark. No one ever saw them.
Yeah, yeah. So that is just the history we've been out to find out, but you know, a lot of it is word of mouth and people. We don't know really what went on here.
I notice something's peed there. Mind you, that could be the dog. There's track. This could be the dog again, because he does go back here. Looks a bit big for him though. So, you know, it could have come in over the fence. This is the window we're talking about, over here. Looking for tracks, looking for evidence. Now there's a manhole cover with a loose cover under there. That can make a noise if you stepped on it and you didn't know it was there. I actually didn't break my leg going down there. These are not broken. Could you push past that without breaking them? Oh, it's higher than you think. This is our air conditioner. So its head come almost to the middle of the window. It was above this bar here and around this area. I don't know. That is depressed there, and that could have been roughly where it was standing. Couldn't have come in, it was too thick. And it was broken stuff, wasn't it? And all these sticks are what I've cut down in the past. And I'm getting caught on all sorts of brambles and stuff. There is a place to stand in here. Well, it could have come through there, I suppose. Possible. Okay, we've seen it now. I'm just going to measure roughly how tall it would be. I was guesstimating about right. Rowan's going to make this next to impossible. This is too big to be Rowan's. So, that's weird. It coming from down the garden path by the looks of it, not from over the fence, which I would have expected. I just double checked. There is no hair on the fence, noticeable clumps, because it is barbed wire. That's cobwebs. Cobwebs. Can't see any noticeable hair. Yeah, that's too big to be Rowan. That's more like Rowan. There. A scrape. Oh, hard to say what that is.